Good evening. I'm Susan Woodson. Thank you for joining us on International Women's Day for Wolfpack Women in Philanthropy's first virtual event. I'm honored to be involved with the founding of Wolfpack Women in Philanthropy, a group of multi generational professional women dedicated to growing, recognizing, and celebrating women's philanthropy, leadership, and engagement in NC State. Randy and I have had the opportunity over the past decade to witness firsthand the impact women and women's philanthropy have had on elevating the work we do at NC State.
Absolutely. It's great to be with all of you tonight. And, I've been so inspired with what this group has done in such a short period of time. You've really engaged with NC State and with our philanthropic efforts and our culture of philanthropy. But as important, you've really engaged in the issues of our university and brought the perspective of leadership among women to our university. And as you all know, NC State has changed a lot in the last decade or the last century, but even in the last decade, we've been a university with an undergraduate enrollment that's dominated by women. And that's very different from years ago at our university. And so your work is critically important to ensuring not only that you're part of the culture of philanthropy, but also that you're helping the university grow and be responsive to the needs of all of our students, faculty, and staff. And it's a real pleasure for me tonight to introduce the moderator of the evening, Kim Diener, which is, you all know from ABC 11, WTVD, Morning Traffic. But what you may not know is Kim is a graduate of NC State and studied atmospheric sciences here a few years ago. I won't say how many, but we're really thrilled to have her here tonight. And she is a donor to the university as well, and we're very grateful for that. So please join me in welcoming Kim.
Thank you so much. And it is an honor for me to be here. Like, I love everything about NC State. This is such a powerful moment for women, not just tonight, but it has been for a while now. I love NC State. I was asked to share a memory, and I think that it ties into what Chancellor Woodson just said. I didn't have a female professor. Not in math, not in chemistry, not in engineering, not in physics, and not in meteorology. And now there's so many women that are dominating sciences. So it is just, it's just a real pleasure to be here. So I'd like to introduce some of the panelists because they are phenomenal. You guys are lucky to get to talk to them tonight. The first one is Carmen. So Carmen is a senior at NC State University. She studies biochemistry in the hopes of becoming a physician's assistant after graduation. Hi, Carmen. She currently serves as a senior ambassador for the Goodnight Scholars Program and is a proud member of the Chancellor's Aides. Since coming to NC State, Carmen has traveled to 3 different countries and served as a medical volunteer for an oncology hospital. So everyone wave hi to Carmen. Hey, Carmen. Now, next is Nasha. You guys just get better and better every single time I introduce you. I'm getting kind of dark in my den for some reason, so I may have to turn a light on to read this. But anyway, Nasha Wittenberg has been a part of NC State for the last 3 years. She is the director of the Multicultural Student Affairs. Additionally, she is a professor at the School of Multicultural Student Affairs, or additionally, as a professor of the School of Social Work with an emphasis on social justice. She is administrative supervision and policy with over 15 years of higher education in student engagement. I am going to have to turn my light on. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry about my sweatpants. Live TV does not allow us to stop and start over. So that's why I just keep going even with mistakes. So Nasha has established a sterling reputation as a dedicated and experienced higher education professional and has specialized in the area of providing transformational service and leadership in the field of intercultural affairs. And she also rocks some fabulous glasses tonight. Hello, Nasha. Everyone wave at her. Now we have Rashida Hodge. She is a technologist and executive leader at the forefront forefront of artificial intelligence and emerging technologies changing how businesses operate. I find your resume fascinating, Rashida. You've honed your leadership through her career. She has through her career in influencing the creation, development, and scale of engineering technologies globally. She earned a BS and an MS in industrial engineering. Tough, I just can't even imagine. NC State, and an MBA from Duke University School of Business. She was named to Fortune's 40 Under 40. I can't believe it. So that's such an honor. And technology in 2020. After 18 years with IBM, she has joined Microsoft's data and all customer success team. Hope I said that right because it sounds impressive. Rashida is a longtime donor and has established her own scholarship at NC State, Real Hope for Next Generation Engineers. So everyone say hi to Rashida with that impressive resume. Now we go to Marjorie Strauss Flink. Is it Flink? It is Flink. I needed my readers. I'm putting them on. Readers and glasses. I'm just adding them too. All right. So Marjorie graduated from Duke University, even though she's decked out in red today, in 1983 with majors in both drama and psychology. Her husband, Chuck Flint, graduated NC State in 1982 and is a 2019 Watauga Medal recipient. Former chairman of the board of visitors and current president of NC State Alumni Association. Marjorie's career has included working as an office manager, but her real passion is acting. In 1996, she founded the murder mystery theatrical company, It's a Mystery. She manages the operations as well as directs acts in all of the company's performances. She also serves on the Engagement and Recognition Committee for Wolfpack Women in Philanthropy. If you attended this year's Red and White Night, you'll recognize Marjorie as one of the evening speakers. Thanks everyone for being here this evening and dealing with my readers and my sweatpants. So let's get down to business and let's talk about how great these women are and let them have a chance to talk. So thank you for being with us. I mentioned NC State, I mentioned a memory and the fact that I didn't have a woman professor and how that's changed so much over even the last 10 years, which is just an empowering thing to be a woman in today's days. So I wanted to give everyone a chance to let us know your favorite memory or share your favorite memory or maybe someone who inspired you throughout your career. So through your time at NC State. So I wanted to start first with Carmen. So Carmen, do you have someone special that stood out, a professor or just anyone that stood out that made your time at NC State special?
So I have a few, but I'll just go really quick. First of all, actually my sister, she's a graduate of NC State. We are both first generation college students, but she made it here first. So I do have to give her props and give her snaps for pushing me when I definitely needed it. But on top of that, the Goodnight Scholars Program is actually ran by 3 women. They're a triple threat, and they have always pushed us to expand the boundaries of what we think we can do and what they know we can do. And so shout out to Allison, Jill, and Bailey. You guys have always had my back.
Well, Carmen, you are adorable and beautiful, an array of sunshine. I love to see that smile. So our next panelist, Nasha. Nasha, do you have something? I have the cat. Animals always show up at the inappropriate times. Nasha, do you have someone who maybe inspired you or you like to shout out during tonight's event?
I've been a fan of the Wolfpack since 1983, and that, of course, has been inspired by my cousin, Derek Wittenberg. He's been an inspiration and always a driver within our family as it relates to Go Pack. My daughter, Tegan Wittenberg, hopefully will grace Reynolds Coliseum as a lady Wolfpacker in another 18 years or so. And my other inspiration would be Melissa Green. She's the director of leadership and civic engagement at State, and she welcomed me 3 years ago with open arms and has always been kind of a go-to person for me. And finally, it would be Chauncey Bowden. She's an alum of NC State and graduated in 2017 and from African American culture and studies. And she has worked with the university in various capacities. So those would be my NC State memories and traveling with the Wolfpack, following Derek Wittenberg throughout the 80s. And those are the fun things that keep me motivated in doing what I do.
Oh, those are good. is that my audio that's messed up? I apologize if it is. All right, Rashida, it's your turn. Tell us who has inspired you.
All right, so I've got a long list, but I'm gonna prioritize it here tonight. One is Dr. Tony Mitchell. May he rest in peace. Dr. Tony Mitchell was, one of those individuals. I came to NC State sight unseen. I just said I'm going to NC State, and Dr. Mitchell was one of those individuals that were one of the first individuals that I met. He led the minority and engineering programs, and he was like my dad at NC State. And he helped me just transition, and made me feel comfortable that this was a space that was created for me and that I was going to succeed there. I think the second one is Clarence Smith. He was my advisor in the industrial engineering department. And I would never forget the day when I went to Clarence's office. And, I said, I cannot be an engineer. And he said, get out of my office, because you can be an engineer. I know that you can, and I'm already convinced. So when you figured it out, then come back. And it was such a defining moment for me, an inspirational moment for me. And it was something that I would never forget. And I am an engineer and more because Clarence first believed in me. And the third I would say is Ben Hughes, who, led a lot of efforts in the engineering foundation. I am a philanthropist today because of Ben Hughes. I was a recipient of an endowment scholarship, and he helped me to see that as a recipient, I can also do those amazing things for individuals that are coming behind of me as well. So those would be the three people that I would recognize in the long list of, many Wolfpacks that has just had a defining moment and presence in my life.
Well, I can say with pretty good beliefs that everybody would agree that NC State was lucky when you walked on the campus, for sure. Very, very lucky. Now, Marjorie, do you have someone special that stands out in your memory?
Well, before we get to the people that stand out, I would be terribly remiss if I did not mention and congratulate the Wolfpack women's basketball team, who won their second consecutive ACC tournament championship yesterday, right?
Oh.
I mean, that was awesome, and on a fabulous last second shot. But hey, it's the win that counts. So let's cheer them on in the NCAA's. So I'd have to say that there are countless faculty, staff, students, and volunteers who have inspired me over the years and continue to do so. But if I have to give a specific example, I, in all honesty, would say Chancellor Woodson and his wife, Susan. And I'm not saying this at all to win any points. No one suggested I say anything like this, but I believe that the tone and standards of a university start at the top. And if we look and see what has been accomplished under Chancellor Woodson's leadership with Susan by his side, it's nothing short of extraordinary. And again, this has nothing to do with winning any points, although maybe some basketball tickets here.
That is great. I love that.
We didn't go there. Basketball tickets, really?
If she gets some, I want some too. And I guess I was asleep last night. I get up way too early in the morning. I did not know NC State won, but go Wolfpack. I'm so glad to hear that. All right. So Carmen, I have a question for you. As a student, what are some ways you've been able to develop your leadership skills?
So I have been very fortunate to hold a lot of leadership positions here at NC State, but they have been made possible by the Goodnight Scholars Program, but also through the Chancellor's Aid Program. When I joined as a freshman, I was really overwhelmed by NC State because it seemed like everyone here was doing something incredible, and I had no idea where to start. It seems like everyone was a part of a big team or they were changing the world, and I had no idea where I fit in. So I started asking questions, trying to figure out how everybody else was getting into it and how they were doing it so I could try to do it myself. And the very first thing I ever did was I joined a research team here with Dr. Edward Grant, and he taught me that taking risk is one of the biggest parts of leadership that nobody wants to talk about. As a leader, you have to be willing to take risk because it means you're not afraid of your own failure, and it means that you're willing to be wrong. And that says a lot about you as a person. So that taught me a lot. But then as I progressed, I became an ambassador for the Goodnight Scholars Program, specifically to reach out and give the opportunities I was given to other students. Because when I was applying for the program, I knew little to nothing. That put me at a great disadvantage, as it was really hard it's really hard to advocate for yourself and to go to an interview and talk about yourself when you don't even know what you're interviewing for. So I especially have connected with a lot of the Latinx population, as I am a child of an immigrant, very proud of that. And it is very, very inspiring to know that I can give this information to somebody, give them the same chance I got, but also to do it in our native tongues. That is probably the most exciting thing I've ever done. I always get so like butterflies when I think about it, because it's been amazing. But on top of that, junior year, I became a chancellor's aide specifically to give back to the university. I would not be here at university had it not been for private scholarships. That's just facts. And I felt like the best way to give back was to serve. And through serving, you learn leadership in a whole other way, because you have to take on initiative to like humble yourself, but also like it just creates this really beautiful dynamic between giving back and then seeing the results of what you're doing.
Well, you are a shining star, Carmen. I cannot wait to watch you grow and find out where you end up, because you just, when you get on the screen, you make me smile. All right, so Carmen, what plans do you have for your future? Because we talked about something the other day, which I thought was really interesting about your future. So I'll let you share it with everyone.
Yes, so I actually want to become a PA. That's a physician's assistant for those who are unaware of what that means. Originally, I was going to just take a year off and figure out some things, get some hours for PA school, but I recently found a program. It's a rural residential program. It's a MedServ fellowship. And essentially, I would be serving for 2 years in a rural community to give back and serving as a medical assistant of some sort in a clinic that they call them rockstar clinics, because they are the ones that serve that area the most. And I felt like that was really my calling as soon as I graduated, just because I myself am from a rural community. I'm from King, for those of you who know, and the nearest hospital was about an hour away. And like the clinics nearby were always overpacked. There were no appointments. The people were going untreated, unseen. So this felt like the way that I could give back to the community that shaped me, that made me. And I never want to forget those experiences, because those do change how I view healthcare today and how I want that to change for the future and those who come after me. Because especially when it comes to those smaller clinics, it is really hard, if English is not your native tongue, to get the care you need. And so that is a personal project I am taking on when I go into these communities that I really want to see change.
Inspirational, Carmen. Really, you are. That's so good to hear. And I know people will appreciate that smile on your face when they can see you help them and represent them and see their face being shown back to them in a positive role. So that's really nice, Carmen. Now, Nasha, working at NC State, what obstacles do our students face?
Sorry about that. I think right now, the students that I've spoken to, access to reliable internet, particularly if they live in very rural places and areas where there's not a lot of access. I would also say that students are facing what I call COVID stress, where they're trying to wrestle with this high standards and keeping high standards of an academic performance. They're also trying to be socially conscious and active with Black Lives Matter and other social justice and philanthropic things that are happening in our world globally. And combined with the added stress of trying to figure out how to pay for everything, with parents being furloughed and laid off because of COVID. It's not just tuition and housing, but we also have to take into consideration access to books, access to internet, laptops. And our libraries have done an amazing job, but there are some students who still don't have access to get to our libraries so that they can go home and work remote. And we're dealing with a generation of students who also didn't get to celebrate milestones. And we're now in a space, in a situation where we also can't commune and be a pack together. So we're trying to figure out how to be a wolf pack virtually. And I think that those are some of the things in terms of making sure they're still feeling like they belong. Those are some of the challenges that students are definitely facing.
I mean, I can only imagine being a part of a university as big as NC State. is overwhelming, but it's fulfilling to be surrounded by so many people. So to being a college student remotely would be very difficult, I think. And another question for you, Nasha, can you give us a scenario or maybe someone in particular that you were able to help support that made a big difference? Is something that maybe brings home your cause to us?
Definitely. I will be doing plugs every day up until March 24th for Day of Giving. For every last one of you, all 300 of you who registered and 299 who are watching, the Day of Giving will be March 24th. And it is a day where you can support our students through your donations. Multicultural student support, that's our Day of Giving tagline. And recently, through Day of Giving last semester, we were able to see the results this semester with the Latinx Alumni Network giving their first scholarship. And that was because of donors. And that scholarship has gone to support Latinx students within our community in attaining their academic goals. And I can't stress enough how much support we need from everyone on Day of Giving to continue to support our students as they attain their different academic goals here at NC State.
Well, thank you. I can only imagine that the Day of Giving is going to be a good day, and I can't wait to see your plug. Tag me in it, and I will pass it on to my social media. So, Rashida, you are next. You're not, all of you are my favorite, but there's something just you, I don't know what it is. Your smile brightens my day. All of you are beautiful, but Rashida, you just got it going on, girl. So, can you tell me, let's see, I know you created a scholarship, and we're going to get to that in a minute, but how did NC State prepare you for your career in all the different things you are an expert at doing?
Yeah, good question. So I think I would break it down into three things. I like to always tell people beyond the walls, the curriculum, the classroom, the people at NC State is what matters, right? So I think one is NC State really taught me how important relationships are, especially as an industrial engineer. It's not about just solving the problem, but also integrating the people as part of solving the problem and really using your relationships and expounding on that to be able to do the right thing for the people that you are doing the right thing for, if you will, right? So I think relationships is just really important. And NC State taught me that. I think the second thing is how to solve problems. Growing up, my mom used to always say, build from your circumstance and finesse it into greatness. You don't know what cards you're going to be dealt, but you're going to be dealt some cards. You're going to be dealt problems. NC State taught me how to finesse my problems into greatness, right? And how to finesse my current environment into greatness, which is something that I use each and every single day in my personal life, as well as, within my career as well. And then I think the third thing, I would say is around, focusing on the why of what you are doing. I mean, I think, within my career, I like to say that I've had a T-shaped career where I've been able to focus on certainly a lot of depth of technology, but also breadth of technology as well. And, NC State taught me how to be purposeful in my thinking and purposeful in my approach. So as I, made decisions around what technologies I wanted to focus on, sort of that, intentional, deliberate, innovative focus that I really got from NC State around why I was doing something, why I was making that decision, and how I should make that decision is really part of the foundation that I was able to build at NC State. And I really want to enforce the relationship piece, because I think a lot of times it's something that we don't really think about when we're getting our degree. We're focused on getting the grade, and we're focused on, all the things that's required around that. And so if I look at, just my nucleus, my circle, my career, there's been people that have been so instrumental to my success that were NC State alumni that, we went to school together, right? And I broke bread with them, right? And I'm still engaging with them, and they've been super influential, for me as I continued on my journey. So I would really encourage individuals to, if you're a current student, don't minimize that. Don't minimize your connections and the relationships that you're building. And if you're an alumni and you haven't connected, with individuals, really take an opportunity to do that, because I think that there's just so much benefit and richness in that experience.
Now, I know that you created a scholarship. So can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe give an example of how it's helped a student?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I was a recipient, I think I mentioned this earlier, I was a recipient myself of an endowment scholarship, which was super important, for me. Coming from the US Virgin Islands, my parents were teen parents. My parents could not afford out-of-state tuition for me to come to NC State. So I was afforded the opportunity to be at NC State because someone gave to me, right? So I had local scholarships from the Virgin Islands, but it was the gap was closed because of the NC State Engineering Foundation, and I could not be more grateful for that. And so again, my mom on International Women's Day is a great inspiration for me. And one of the things that she always taught me was, when you believe in something, do something about it and make the sacrifice for you and for others. So for me, as I left NC State and I began working in the workforce, I knew that I was only provided that opportunity because someone invested in me, and I wanted to take the opportunity to give back. And that's what prompted me to actually reach out to the Engineering Foundation and folks like Ben Hughes and Brian Campbell and Dean Louie to say, how can I give back what was afforded to me, because I would not be here without that support. That's number one. I think the second thing also was when I would actually go to endowment dinners, where students had the opportunity to meet just the fabulous people that invested into their lives. I mean, quite honestly, I didn't see people that looked like me. I didn't see many women, and I sure as heck didn't see Black women. So I was inspired to not only give, but I wanted to give at a younger age, right? I didn't want to give when it was just easy to give, when I'm retired and I've got excess cash. No, I wanted to give when it was harder, right? Because it was a sacrifice that was important, number one. And number two, I wanted Black, women of color, girls that look like me, to see that they belonged in those spaces. And most importantly, that they also had the capacity to give. So for me, it was, look, thank you. Thank you for investing in me, and I want to give back. But I also wanted to let people that look like me know we have the capacity to give, and we belong in those spaces. We're not just recipients of endowments, but we are also givers of endowment scholarships.
I love that. I love that. It gives me chills because it is very important that girls see strong women that look like them. I mean, not everyone looks the same. We all have different faces. We come from different places. And I think maybe that's what most moves me about the women we're talking to today. I mean, you guys are just superstars in the sense that you're not just giving money and you're not just helping, but you're putting a face. You're representing some little girls that never had that to look up to. Just like I didn't have a female in science to teach me as a professor because of the time I was born. I loved everyone, but it just wasn't as common for women to be in science. So you guys make me so proud to be an NC State grad. All right, so Marjorie, it is your turn, and I'm going to give you your question, and then I'm stepping off for a second because I'm literally a halo of angels behind me because all of a sudden the lighting in my room has changed. So I'm going to ask you your question, and I'm going to disappear just for a minute. I promise I'll be back. So Marjorie, you've established, sorry, got off track a little bit, live TV. All right, so as a non-alum, married to an alum, can you tell me a little bit about what NC State means to you? Because I know you graduated from Duke, but you're wearing red tonight and you're married to a Wolfpacker. So tell me a little bit about how you got acquainted with NC State and how you've made it your home.
Sure. Well, like you said, I am a Duke graduate and not an alum, which again that in itself is very meaningful to me. That the folks at NC State felt it worthy on taking a risk on a Blue Devil, but I'm also a member of the Wolfpack too. So I will say that fortunately, my husband Chuck is a state grad, not a UNC grad, or it is very likely that I would not be here tonight being so effusive. So I started out years ago attending NC State events as his, so to speak, plus one. But it wasn't long before I realized that all the wonderful people that I encountered, they cared about me as well. It wasn't just I wasn't just his sidekick. He really cared about me, what I was doing, what I was accomplishing, who I was. In fact, some people even told me it'd be okay to wear Duke blue if I wanted to when Duke played NC State. But I have to say that out of respect, I always wore my red. But as time went on, I grew more and more impressed with NC State's achievements, not just how I was treated, but what I was hearing and seeing at every event I went to and every person speaking, and just learning about what was happening out in the world as a result of NC State students and faculty. And so it was just sort of a cycle where the more I engaged, the more I wanted to engage. And on top of that, as a North Carolina native, I've never left the state. Well, I've left the state, but not to live. I honestly now think of NC State as our state's one of the state's most precious jewels, and it prepares students to go out into the world and do real things and make a real difference. And now more than ever, it's apparent that women play a very vital and growing role in philanthropy. And so I have the honor of currently serving on the relatively new group at NC State called Women in Philanthropy, which is one of the sponsors of tonight's event. And our goal is to grow, recognize, and celebrate contributions of women at NC State. The group is young, a couple years old, and definitely still evolving. But ultimately, the intent is to create a way for all women to engage with NC State in a way that works for them. And that does not necessarily mean financially. There's so many ways that women can play an active role. So if you are interested in learning more, and I hope that you will be, the website link will be provided at the end of the webinar.
And now, Marjorie, you established a faculty award and a fellowship within the College of Design. What inspired you to direct your support to faculty and graduate students?
Sure. Well, my husband will be forever grateful for the foundation he received as an undergraduate at the NC State College of Design. And heck, if he's grateful, then I sure as heck am grateful too. I mean, he's gone far into this world because of that foundation. And though I'd like to think I've had my own accomplishments, I am incredibly proud of the things, the real world things that he has been able to do, largely because of that foundation. And so that, coupled with, if you all think about it, at its very core, at the most basic level, a university is about its teachers and its students. In other words, education. So that's where we wanted to lend our support. Teachers and students need our support. Of course, we support in other ways as well, but that is why we established those scholarships and endowments.
Now, can you think of a person or a student or a faculty member that maybe you helped and that it made a difference and you'd like to share with the group today?
Well, in past years, there's been an annual in-person event where we would get a chance to meet our recipients and even get to, see their projects if they chose to share them with us. But this year, due to COVID, we participated just a couple of weeks ago in a virtual event where we chatted one-on-one with our recipient and, thoroughly enjoyed learning about her. Moving when you think about here she is. She left a career to start a new career and went to NC State, and her parents didn't even go to college. So it's very it's very special knowing that we can make a difference, however small, and that's our reward.
Okay, so now this, I want to thank you, Marjorie. You are an inspiration as well. All of you just off the charts and how great you are as women. So I wanted to send a question to all of you. I want to ask a question of everyone. So what was the moment as a student, alumna, or friend when you realized you wanted to engage with NC State by giving your time, your money, your experience? Like, what motivated you to become these phenomenal women that one, Carmen, you're becoming, and the rest of you already are there? So I'm going to open it up. I don't have a thing that tells me who gets to talk, so I'll kind of let you guys just speak when you want to speak.
Well, I think for me, it wasn't any one particular event, but just a series of events and time. And, there were so many, again, volunteers and staff people who probably believed in me more than I believed in myself in terms of being able to contribute on my own, not just as my husband's wife to NC State. And it's just been a great symbiotic, relationship. As I said before, the more I engage, the more I want to engage.
Thank you. I think for me, in 2016, I was working at a different university, and I brought my team, my staff, and a couple of students to NC State for best practices. And was in multicultural student affairs. The vice president of student affairs at the time took us out to lunch in 1887 and went to the African American Cultural Center and got the most amazing hug from Mama Thorpe. And I said to myself, after she just poured this love into me, I gotta get here. Mind you, I had already traveled with NC State throughout the 80s following Derek Wittenberg. And now here I am just on coincidence. And following that conversation, now it's the summer of 2016. I'm hot, I'm 8 months pregnant, I'm living in Savannah, and I forced my sister to drive me 6 hours to NC State to get that ice cream. So I knew that this was going to be home, and I knew that this was where I was meant to be, and that I had been groomed from a little girl up until now to fall in love with this university, even though I wasn't an alum or faculty at the time. But really and truly, from that hug from Mama Thorpe to pull me in and to wrap me tight, just confirmed and reaffirmed what I already knew. And meeting students from the day I set foot on campus and other faculty and staff that I'd already mentioned as inspirations, it's like, okay, this is home. And so I'm really excited to bring my daughter up on this campus as a member of the PAC. And she started howling at the age of 2. So it's it's really been phenomenal to bring it all home.
Yeah, I think for me, sometimes you don't know what you have um, in some moments or until it's gone or until you experience a moment that reinforces it. And for me, when I was applying for my master's, I had said, "Oh, here these are the schools that I'm going to, and if I get accepted, I'm going." NC State wasn't even on the list, and it wasn't until, and I won't mention the school, but it wasn't until I went to that school and I visited. And once I got accepted, and that professor turned to me and said on my visit, "Do you think that you can survive here?" And I was shocked by the statement. But it was in that moment I said, wow, I had never experienced that at NC State. No one ever questioned my ability to succeed, but my ability to succeed is being questioned here. And it was in that moment I said to myself, wow, I didn't realize how darn good I had it at NC State. I didn't realize the support, the comfort, the family, the connection that I was provided to allow me to succeed at an exponential level, which made me competitive to other schools as I was pursuing my master's, but they definitely, didn't have the love from the PAC. And so I think I would say sometimes I think the love, that we all express from the PAC, we just think it just happens that way. It's differentiating. And it really means something, and you don't see that and you don't experience that in other places. And for me, it wasn't until I was in a moment where I didn't have it reinforced to me how special this university is. And then I really doubled down on, I'm not going anywhere else. I'm staying here at NC State. And when I left, I made a commitment to make sure that I give back, not just from a monetary perspective, but giving back my time and being a significant advocate for, our programs and just the community and the environment that is presented here.
I will happily close out this segment. So my experience is literally a memory that I had. It was sophomore year. I was invited to go work an event, and it was one of the first ones specifically for a Latinx community. And it was held at NCCU campus, where actually I did research back in high school. So I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to go back and see what's going on, see what's new. But I didn't know that I had to wake up at 6 a.m. to go. So I'm not built to be a morning person. But that particular day, I said, let's just try it out and see what happens. And I was so tired. I remember showing up to the event and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if anyone's going to listen to me. I'm just one person out of a crowd of like, I don't know how many people are going to be here. I feel like, I mean, I stand at a polite 5'3", like I don't stand out in a crowd. So I thought, we'll just see what happens. And the amount of excitement that was in the room as soon as the event started did it all. I mean, we had students who are still in middle school talking about going to university. I had parents come up to me and they're like, oh, well, my kids are too young. They're in elementary school, but I've got a niece, I've got a nephew, I've got all these other extended family members. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this was my community. Like, these are my people. These are mi gente. Like, this is it. And it was so exciting to be like, I'm the bridge right now. I am serving as a bridge for my people to my university. Like, this is so cool. And I remember meeting a student there, and I actually saw him on campus a year later. And it was so cool because he came up to me and he was like, oh my God, I never thought I could ever go to college and have that story and have your title and have everything. He's like, but now I'm also a Goodnight Scholar. And I was like, we gotta sit down. We have to have a conversation. You're kidding. And I think every single time I go to these events or I go to any event, I talk to prospective students, I'm always reminded how much of an impact higher education makes for people. Like it just in general, from any walk of life, from every community, higher education opens so many doors that you didn't even know about because no one ever showed you, no one ever talked about it. In these communities, it's not normal. Like in my own personal family, my major is not easily understood. And that is something that I hope to overcome in the future generations and continue what I'm doing, because these conversations, I want them to be normalized, but I also want them to be normalized in our own tongues, in our own homes, in our own families, because that's where the change really happens. And so like, for me, it's always been the students, no matter how young, no matter how old, it's the parents, it's the absolute passion that you find in people who like just need to know that it's possible. There's space for us at the table, and there is. We made this space. Come eat. Come get a plate. It's full. It's overflowing. And that's it. But I think always makes me part of it.
I cannot wait to see you grow up. I know I've said that several times. You're already a grown up, but you are going to rock this world. Like, just amazing. All right, ladies, another question for you. For folks who don't know, can you talk about some of the opportunities for giving and how people could identify which ways they want to support? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but maybe be a little more specific, even for people like me that would love to be a part of you and your goals. How would I go about doing that? So kind of, could you bring us up to date on that information, ladies?
Of course, I have shamelessly plugged Day of Giving coming up on March 24th. And when I say March 24th, I mean, we're starting at midnight, you all. Midnight. So get on the Twitters and the Instagrams and all of the social media. Day of Giving. Please save the date. We need your support now more than we ever have. In addition to financial support, I absolutely love having alums come back and speak to our students during our multicultural graduation week, during our multicultural symposium in the fall and in the spring, and throughout our different heritage months. And that's definitely, that giving of your time says so much. And also the willingness to provide mentorship and leadership to speak to students who are about to graduate on how you got to this step in your professional life. You know, all of that information is needed. That networking opportunity, you know, taking a student under your wing and just doing there is the Career Center, but to hone in, if you're, say, a Rashida, you know, what does my resume need to say for me to be a qualified candidate for an engineering, position. So taking that time out, that little bit of an extra step, if you don't have, if you're not ready financially to support, those are all things that we really and truly need. Connecting with OIED, the Office of Institutional Equity and Diversity, plug, plug, plug. You'll always be taking your money too on Day of Giving, but those are, really and truly in the campus community centers are the ways that I would really and truly encourage people to reconnect to NC State, be it through speaking, mentorship, advocacy, and also donating.
I think a couple things I would say. One is, especially as it relates to giving, just start somewhere, right? I think a lot of times when we look at giving, a lot of times, people say, oh, I don't have the capacity to give. I don't have millions of dollars. You don't need millions of dollars, right? Certainly we'll take that too if you've got that, but start, right? When I started to give, my gifts, wasn't thousands of dollars, right? It was, tens of dollars. And so I think that, start somewhere if that's what you want to do. And I think one of the great things about NC State is, they really ensure that your passion is linked and aligned to where your investments are going. For me, that was really important. I really wanted to ensure that, the money that I was giving was linked to my passions of getting more women and more minorities in the College of Engineering. And NC State does a fabulous job of making sure that your funds, your contribution, your way of giving is aligned to that. So start somewhere. It's going to grow, right? But start. Do not be afraid. Do not be ashamed. If your contribution is $1, it makes a difference for so many people. Give your dollar because it makes a difference for individuals. The second, for those of you that are in corporate America, matching gift opportunities are there. You have a lot of corporations that, will match, 1-to-1, or some are even doing 2-to-1 of the giving that you provide. So take advantage. It's free money, right? Take advantage of that free money to be able to help, someone else. I think that's important. And then I think third is giving isn't just about money, right? I know a lot of times that's what it sounds like, but it's not. And so I know I struggled with that in the beginning. I want to do more than just give money. Don't just look at me as a cash register, right? There's a lot of opportunities, and I'm a pretty direct person, but there's a lot of opportunities to give, to the school of your time. So many students want to hear about your experience and about, your struggles, your triumphs, your journey. That is so valuable. That is worth so much. And, students are looking for mentorship. Students are looking for, leveraging alumni that are in industries or at companies or that are in spaces that, they're not in. So giving is broader than just the dollar figure. We really want you to give your time, your experiences, your learning, and your insights so that we can really make the pact, much stronger and certainly much broader.
And I'd like to add to, again, to talk a little bit about the women in philanthropy as well. Other than Susan Woodson, I'm the only person on the panel that's currently in this on this committee. And again, it's an honor to have been asked to do so. Again, it's relatively new, 2 to 3 years. It's sort of hard to count the last year, but we've accomplished wonderful things even in the midst of COVID, including putting on this event tonight where we're sort of introducing ourselves to you. Again, we're evolving, it's new, and we are looking at so many different things that I think, again, within probably not too long a period of time, there's going to be so much more opportunity and more out there, more information out there, events out there that are going to be able to kind of educate on ways that you all can be engaged, again, in the manner that suits you, whether that's volunteering, attending events, monetarily. It's going to be, right now we're looking at it all. We're very excited about the prospect. And again, just the very fact that NC State has sanctioned and is giving so much support to Wolfpack Women Philanthropy, again, shows you how forward thinking the university is and now it deserves women's support. So continue to look out for more information on women in philanthropy. And again, more information will be provided after tonight's event.
I mean, just looking at the panel tonight, it's so obvious NC State loves women and it is a very empowering university. So you guys all representing very well today. All right, one last question, ladies, or at least I think we're coming down near to the end. So I have a question for each of you. Where do we need more women leaders at NC State?
I'll start. I would like to see more women leaders represented on our boards. So for those that may not know, NC State has a lot of boards across the colleges and the departments. So I'm on the College of Engineering Foundation Board. I'm on the Industrial Engineering Advisory Board. I want to see more people that look like me. I have Black sisters, Latinx sisters out there, Asian sisters, period. Like, raise your hand. We need you there, right? It is really, really important to get a diverse set of perspectives on these boards so that we can ensure that we are building curriculums and we are taking actions that are going to benefit our future. So that's where I love to see more women.
I'm just going to pop in real quick as a student. So, are we good? Okay, so I personally would love to see more of us at the top. I agree with you 100%, Rashida. I think that it does impact a lot of how things are set up, how things are built, how things are created, how things are implemented. But also, this is really basic. I like to see more of us in the classroom. Hello, I'd love to sit down on my group project, look over and be like, yes, we can do this. Sometimes you get into some of those the engineering courses or some of the more technical courses, and you look around and you're like, ooh. Alrighty, I'm gonna sit down here and I'm by myself. But at the same time, I earned my spot here. This is my place at the table as much as it is yours. So I definitely want to see more of us in the classroom, in my technical classes, where y'all at, because I know we look cute and we can definitely do it here.
I agree. And also to Carmen's point, I can't see Chancellor Woodson, but Chancellor Woodson and me and Carmen we're giving you a challenge, right? Boards also includes our board of trustees. So all the boards that you participated and you influenced, Chancellor Woodson, we want to see more women there too.
And my comment would be, where don't we need more women, or where can't we use more women?
All right, Nasha, we haven't heard from you yet.
I mean, at the very core, I think it's very important to always look around the room, as Rashida has done, Carmen has done, to see who's missing and see who's not there. I think one of the biggest gaps would be we need women in every single crevice of the university. And, I've struggled with not being able to find women of color specifically in STEM, particularly Native women. In faculty roles, Latinx women in faculty roles, and Black women as well. Because as we've been speaking about the entire evening, is that representation matters. And with that, having, learning from a variety of women of color, I think only challenges the university to be its best self. And I also share kudos with everything that was already mentioned. In expanding where and at what tables and through what doors we have women representation. I think in general, all women carry a sledgehammer, and we have that sledgehammer to bust through doors and to smash everything that is glass, whether it's a ceiling or a chandelier, we don't care. We carry our sledgehammers for a reason. And for that, we are the backbone of our own society and need more equitable opportunities there and also in pay.
Well, you guys, or I never know if it's coming back to me or not, it sounds hollow. When you guys are just awesome, and it's just amazing to see the difference, what the classroom looks like for you, Carmen, compared to what the classroom looked like for me. But in every one of my physics, chemistry, math, or meteorology classes, I was one of maybe one or two women. So it is amazing to see how much it's changed. But I want to look back 10 years from now, and I hope in classes we have just as many women who strive to be in the science world as we do men, because certainly we all can do it. And Chancellor Woodson, we love you. I feel like we haven't propped up men enough, we do love men too, and you guys do, you're certainly, this isn't just women tonight, but it is a women empowerment, and I love it. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank you for dealing with my nerves. I sit in front of a camera every day and talk to a lot of people, but for whatever reason, you all made me a nervous wreck tonight. So I apologize if I messed anything up. Thank you for being so kind to me. I want to thank you for being so great, strong women in philanthropy, and your goals and your accomplishments are amazing to me. I'm just so moved, and I'm sure everyone that watched this tonight is equally as moved and empowered. From the comments I looked at, people were just, it's like we're at a rally raising money for something. And I know we are, Day of Giving. Nasha, I'm going to give to you because you've got me, girl. So I'm going to hand it over to Susan and let Susan take us out tonight. Thank you guys for having me, and please reach out to me again. I promise I'll have my lighting better next time and I won't fall over everything.
Thank you.
Wow. I'm inspired. I'm excited. I have loved hearing from all of you. When Randy and I first came here, I was here a week, and I said, Randy, this is home. I'm not leaving. Whether you do or not, I'm staying. But anyway, y'all have just rocked it. That's all I can say. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much. Kim, you've been a delight. I've loved having you join us tonight, and just appreciate everything y'all said. And I'm always telling Randy when I go to anything and I go, oh, too many men, got to get some women and some color. Come on. So I'm there for you. Thank you so much. You've inspired me, and I know you've inspired everyone else that has been tuning in. I want to remind you, March 24th is NC State Day of Giving. Don't forget what that means. It means to give. And I want to challenge the women to show them how to do it. Okay, I know we can with this team. So let's give from our heart and enjoy every moment of it. It's been a great night. I really have enjoyed it. I'm excited, and I can't wait to actually see all of you in person. So hopefully that'll be soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Go Pack.
Go Pack.
Go back.